Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Barnstable Golf Committee for June the 10th, 2025. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30, Section 20, I need to inquire to see whether or not anyone is taping the meeting. Seeing none. I also want to announce that this meeting is being recorded and will air on Channel 18 or Channel 1072. After the meeting concludes, it can also be accessed via the Government Access channel of the Town of Barnstable website. All right, first item is the roll call. Jeff Converse.
Present.
John Cookson.
Present.
Keith Hochstein, present. Suzanne Connolly.
Present.
Mark Bushway.
Present.
Bill Silva.
Present.
Jason Orby.
Present.
Excellent, 100%. Jesse, we have any public comments? All right. We want to act on the minutes of the May 13th meeting. Does anyone have any additions, deletions? Can I have a motion? Oh, I want to make, there is a reference in the minutes to beginning the discussion on the budget. Did we agree to do that in July or in August? In the minutes, it says August.
It is August.
That's when we're going to begin doing that, Jesse?
It'll be a month earlier than usual, I think.
Is everyone happy beginning in August? Okay. All right, fine. That's what it has in the minutes. All right, a motion to accept
So moved.
and a second. All in favor, show of hands, please. It's unanimous. All right, Director of Golf Maintenance Report, James Bentley.
All right, I'd like to start off by saying very happy with the greens at both courses right now. They have great color. I played a few times at Hyannis. The ball is rolling great, no excessive growth. And more importantly, from a turf grass manager standpoint, what you guys don't see, the roots are fantastic. When we change cups, I mean, me and Chris are seeing roots like this, which typically we haven't had in the last few years. So super happy about that. But going into the summer season to see that is just, that's setting us up for success. So we're really happy about that. So I think the program that me and Chris have kind of worked on together to for these greens has really worked out. The last few years, we're finally seeing some results.
They are good. They're really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. Moving on to a few other things. I just want to touch on it briefly. It was actually today. They met Monday. Mass DEP still has Cape Cod region in a level 2 drought. They took the islands out, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what they did. What does that mean for us? We're still limited on how much water we can put on fairways, which hasn't been an issue yet. It could be. We're not going to meet for another month. Where it cuts our watering on fairways by half.
Good thing it's raining all the time.
I know. We got a good downpour today. Hopefully that helps. I just wanted to bring that to light. We are going to be restricted on some watering.
It seems like an awfully long time. It's
Yeah,
days.
especially in the summer months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be
That's
almost weekly.
A month?
They typically only meet monthly.
Wow.
Yeah. If you go to the website, it'll actually show you the drought map of the entire state and when they meet. You can actually see the minutes from their meetings and what they discuss. They look at stream water levels and groundwater levels. But,
We got about an inch today, right?
we're very close to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully their next meeting, they at least knock us down to level 1, which would help. Both courses, before I forget, the forward tee at Hyannis we discussed last month, that's open for play. Just wanted to hand it to the Hyannis staff and Chris, Sean, Kroll, and Chuck did a great job with it. It looks fantastic.
It does. Thank you.
Like
Yeah.
it always belonged, and it's how we probably should have done it the first time. So it's open for play. I think it came out really
It did.
nice.
Came out
So,
really nice.
pretty pumped about that. Both courses kind of address some much needed facelifts to clubhouse grounds areas. It wasn't a lot of money. It was just, between weeding and a little bit of mulch and some flowers to dress up the main entrances. It's the first thing golfers see when they get here, especially people who don't play here all the time. So I think it's important. Even at Hyannis with the construction, I mean, the guys did some work to the flagpole, and they were working on the hill going down today, all the overgrown weeds. Just to dress it up a little bit. Specific shout out to Bruce McIntyre, who I think a lot of you know. He did a lot of the flower purchasing and planting, so he did a great job. But happy to see that. Just a small thing, but it makes a difference. Coming up, in-house, I know in our capital improvement plan, we're discussing bunkers and getting that done, but we are going to try to address some of our issues out there in-house temporarily, addressing some of the worst greenside bunkers first, as far as lack of sand, re-edging them, maybe some collapsing faces. A couple we already have some of the sand in. It's just finding the time to do it. 5 greenside at OBF, that's in dire need of sand and some edging work. 9 greenside at Hyannis, maybe to start, among a few others. But that's kind of our in-house project goal in the summer, while we have some staff to be able to do it. I mean, are we going to be able to get to all of them? No. But we have to do something. The bunker sand's super expensive, and it's labor intensive, but we are going to get to some of the worst ones and try to make some in-house
Can
improvements.
I ask you what the difference between bunker sand and like beach sand is? I mean, people ask me that all the time.
It's super, I
Fine.
guess the best term I could use is refined. Zero rocks. It's the consistent. It's actually PGA Tour. That's the quality.
Is it like fine?
It's fine.
It's
Yeah.
very fine. Okay.
Yeah. It's designed specifically to be bunker sand.
Got it.
It's custom made.
I never knew there was a difference between.
There is.
Even
Yeah.
top dressing sand is.
It's different from top dressing sand that we
Really?
would put on the greens during aeration.
Wow.
So what is the sand that's in the divots now?
The divot sand.
Yeah, is that different too? Is that,
Yes, that's just, it's a lower quality, a little
does it
cheaper,
do anything, or is it just to fill the hole?
just to fill the hole.
Just to fill the hole?
Well, it's got seed in it, right?
Well, yeah, we add the seed.
Yeah,
You do, okay.
Yeah.
that's the whole idea.
Is the green sand, is that much more expensive?
That's also expensive, yes.
It is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, same thing, it's actually down to the millimeter, the specifications on it,
Of the grains, yeah.
on the green sand, because you want it small to brush into the holes better and,
I
yeah.
was just thinking about the aesthetics of it, the sand on
Like the
Color-
divot,
Color green, not green.
the
not
color
top
green,
dressing.
yeah, I meant color green, I'm sorry.
the color green.
Yeah, yeah,
That, you can buy colored sand, it's super, I mean, it
is expensive.
that's
Yeah,
tremendously
okay.
expensive,
Alright.
yeah.
Private club money.
I am very happy with, I think we talked about it. We tried some new divot mix at Hyannis, specifically on the par 3s. It had a little peat mixed in with the seed. It was tremendous. Those par 3 tee boxes over there look
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll be buying another pallet of that in July.
Okay.
It's a little pricey, but I think
Place
it's,
looks awesome.
for the par 3s, it's worth it. So I'm gonna continue that, especially over there at Hyannis. And a quick side note on that Audubon walk I hosted with the kids.
yeah.
That went really well. Had a huge turnout. They cataloged all kinds of wildlife, mostly birds. The big hit was cicadas. bounce
the
them out
big red
there.
eyes.
Yeah, they love those.
They love them.
No
Yeah.
coyotes?
Kids.
Yeah, we didn't get out early enough to see the coyotes. There
So
was a
You
James-
bunch
don't
out
have to
there.
be out that early.
Yeah.
I've seen them out there.
Our
5.
foursome was out early this morning and we saw an otter
Oh yeah, he lives in the
leave from the
pond.
pond,
Oh.
Yeah.
go all the way across, it would be 7 and 5 and into the, the wildness there. And it was such a sight. I think about 8 golfers saw it. We were all really intrigued. Let Audubon know we're healthy enough to have otters running around.
I think he lives in the little pond right over there.
Does he
It's normally
really?
where we see him. Yeah.
Really? He
Yeah.
went from 5 into the, the big
Do
declivity
we have
there.
a Mr. and Mrs.?
That I don't know. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we would like to have offspring, no?
Sure. Yeah.
So one of the golfers yelled, "Is that a rat?"
No,
I said,
way
no,
too
no,
big.
no, that's not a rat. He's like this long,
No,
you
they're-
know?
yeah, they're pretty
Really
good.
big, really
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Did the kids see any of the red-tailed hawks?
They did. Yeah. I pointed out the nest. They
Between 18 and 16?
18 and 16 in the
Yeah.
light pine tree. Yeah.
And
That's
you've
neat.
got scarlet tanagers on 18, lots
We
of
do.
them.
Yep.
They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
Let Audubon know that the wildlife is thriving.
They know, yep.
Yeah, they know. Okay, good.
Yep. And we're as far as that other piece to the Audubon thing, it's partially my fault. I dropped the ball a little bit. I have to do once again more water testing. They want multiple tests and multiple seasons.
You never dropped the ball, James. You're a very
I did a
busy
little
fellow.
bit. I didn't realize they wanted both our pond on 3 and the groundwater coming out of our wells. So I am gonna get on that. So
Okay.
I will say the water tests that I have done are, I mean,
Very good.
it's almost audible, the water on 3.
That's unbelievable.
So
James, what causes dollar spot?
dollar spot, it's a fungus.
Fungus.
Is that something
Moisture,
that is
humidity.
coming soon, or?
Oh, it's already here.
It's here?
It's on
Okay.
tees and fairways right now.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you have a product to fight that, or?
We do. It's a super low risk pesticide, but we're not at the threshold where I'm gonna spray for it yet.
Okay.
On tees and fairways.
Okay.
It's just most golfers don't notice it. But you'll see it, especially in the morning. It looks like almost a spider web in a circle
Right.
in a lot of spots.
I got it all over my
It's called
lawn.
mycelium. Yeah, you get it in your lawn.
Yeah.
But we don't spray for that nearly as much as we used to. It does kill the turf, and we're not gonna let it annihilate the tees or fairways by any means, but I've established kind of a threshold where we're gonna let it do some damage, and then we'll address it, before it gets completely out of control.
I think the biggest issue right now is the clover on the tee boxes.
Yes,
Almost
No
every tee
question.
box has clover, it's just kind of cuckoo, you gotta tee up away from it, but.
it's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yes, James, you mentioned at the last meeting that you were going to try some product on. some-
We did.
And what happened?
I wasn't happy with the results. It stunted it, and we're gonna do a repeat application, but yeah.
James, that comment that John just mentioned is one that I want to pick up on, if I may. I talk to people all the time, as I'm sure the other members do, regarding the condition of the course. And by and large, people are somewhat happy. First of all, they're very happy about the greens, as you mentioned, as we all know. The greens are in great shape, a credit to you and Chris and everyone else. Their enthusiasm about the fairways diminishes, but what they tell me is they know that our staff is low. They know that we play on this course all year round, and they know that, of course, we're using organic fertilizer. Then you get to the tee boxes, and this is really what has motivated me to talk about this, Jesse. And really, I need to talk to you about it in the sense that not only am I talking to the TV audience, I also want to talk to the town administration. When I first got on the board 7 or 8 years ago, I would look forward to getting Cape Cod Magazine in the middle of summer, and they would rate Old Barnstable many times as the best or the second best golf course on Cape Cod. Through nobody's fault, that is not going to happen, nor should it, quite frankly. The tee box on 2, the tee box on 1, I could name, I was looking in particular when I played yesterday, just so I could have specific examples to talk tonight, are almost indistinguishable. They almost are not tee boxes. It's just like flat ground there because of the clover. And again, you know all these things. The reason I'm bringing this up, Jesse, is that there are 42 golf courses on Cape Cod, private and public. 39 of them use non-organic fertilizer. We and one other public one, I understand, jumped on. What do you know this?
The captains
Captains,
is from
all
what
right.
I'm seeing, would know, is slowly,
They're heading in that direction.
Right.
All right.
I don't think they're at
The
our
point
level.
is,
will they do it cold turkey like we did? I don't know.
oh, I see, okay.
No.
They might
And the-
transition.
And the other one, and this is again for the audience who's interested in this, is over on Cape Cod. It's a private course, and they have tens of thousands of dollars to remediate anything that takes place, like the growth of clover.
Martha's Vineyard, you meant Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
The
Martha's
vineyard.
Vineyard.
Yeah, they don't repair turf, they replace it.
Now, again, James, I'm going to ask you to help me out with this, and we've been talking. I understand that we do use something called EIQ low risk.
Yes.
Okay, apparently that has not been doing the job because of the conditions I mentioned. I think, and Jesse, this is why I'm talking to you about this. I think the town of Barnstable, who asked us to begin this organic growth program, organic fertilizer program, many years ago, which we embraced enthusiastically, might be asked the question of what quality do they want their golf course to be? And it really becomes a philosophical question. And my point is very simple. We do not need to use non-organic fertilizer, in my opinion. Maybe James has a different opinion, over both courses. I would like to see some sort of bridge product being, well, getting the permission for us to use some sort of bridge product on the tee boxes and maybe in certain areas on fairways that have just become uncontrollable in terms of dandelions, in terms of clover and other weeds that are damaging the product that we have. Again, I speak from this. Everybody still can play golf, whether it's clover or grass. I speak from this as a point of view that we used to have the best public golf course on Cape Cod. Maybe we're never again going to have that because of the sacrifice needed to make an all-organic fertilizer program. But I would like to get to the point where we say, okay, enough is enough. The course has deteriorated enough, and we're going to stop it here. Because for the last 5 or 6 years, it has been just that, a slow deterioration. And again, I don't know if it's Chris Ganella we could speak to about this, or literally go to the town manager, who was the person who asked us to begin this program, to get some sort of minimal program even, where we can improve the tee boxes, improve certain areas in the fairway, and get Old Barnstable and Hyannis, although Hyannis is in better shape because obviously it's used less, back to a semblance that is a top-notch golf course.
I'll start by saying I don't think, we knew this was coming. I mean, that James is not the
Right.
least bit surprised about where we're at.
Excuse me, and again, I want to say, John Cookson, myself, James, we walked Hyannis.
Right.
And Dr. Rossi,
Right.
the preeminent individual in this area from Cornell University, was talking to us about this.
And he forecasted this, I'm sure.
I've been watching it decline for
Right.
7 or 8 years now, 6 or 7.
Six.
Six, you're in your sixth year.
We need to stop the decline, that's what I'm saying. But go ahead.
Well, I don't want to, this isn't out of nowhere. We knew it was going to happen when we took this route. James and I do have plans to meet with Chris, tour the golf course, and talk about this very thing. What will come of it, I don't know, but we're gonna make our case. He can speak much more eloquently about it than I can. I can talk to the market share, portion of it, what's happening. But we are gonna tour with Chris and show him what's really happening and make our case. And, right, we're not trying to go back to what it was. We don't want to. But we need to protect the asset. And we're gonna aggressively pursue that. I wish I had a better answer in real time. But we do have a plan to go out with him and
I think we've proven that we can protect the asset with what we've been doing. It's just, we need to do a few additional things that I think I can show with minimal chemical use, but some, to mitigate some of the issues we have.
I think that's
Everyone
exactly
is-
what
Go ahead.
Keith is saying.
Yep.
You know, some additional, chemicals to use to try to bring it back. And,
I don't want to get into too much of a technical discussion, but there is a traditional product that even by Audubon standards would be considered low risk that could help us out there. There is.
yeah.
May I say something? Way back when this started, I did a lot of reading about turf management as a layperson, not like you, but just trying to understand. And what I read, I try to stay away from the word chemical, and I use the words organic and inorganic. And what I read was there are some more organic materials that are less destructive to the environment. Did I say inorganic?
Right.
I'm sorry. There are some inorganic materials that are less destructive to the environment than so-called organic. And that's one of the great fallacies of this, is that, you have to look at the product, understand, does it sink into the ground? Does it affect the groundwater or not? How much environmental damage does it actually do? And some of the stuff that's out there that people would consider inorganic is not that harmful to the environment. I tried to press that point with people, but, it gets lost. People just think, it's either this or that, and that's not the case. It's far more complicated than that.
Are there organic materials that are harmful?
There are materials that are organic that are more harmful than some inorganic materials. And that I read over and over again. And, I have no clue what they are. James knows what they are, as the expert. But I think we have to impress upon the powers that be that, thinking in this kind of, this kind of duality without thinking critically is hurting the golf course. These are multi-million-dollar assets of the town. And I'm gonna be speaking to another matter later, after Jesse speaks, but that's all I have to say. But I wanna support Keith
Yeah.
in getting this
Yeah.
conversation out there.
And again, Jesse, talking to Chris Canella, 42 golf courses use the old-fashioned fertilizer. All we're seeking is a minimal use in certain areas. And this whole idea of having pride in our product is really what we're talking about here. No one is trying to pamper golfers or make things ridiculous. We're talking about having pride in our golf course. And
we also need to justify a $105 ticket.
Yeah,
I didn't even want to bring that up, but that's absolutely true.
yeah.
It's absolutely true. And maybe, unfortunately, people might begin to say, you know what, it's not worth it, and they may go other places. I don't think that's happened yet, but you don't know what's gonna happen. The other thing I want to bring up too, and I'm gonna ask James a question here, tick spray. Do we allow any tick spray on either of the courses?
Currently, I would say none of the products we use are going to knock down ticks.
Okay, this becomes a health problem now for the pass holders who are residents of the town and nearby towns, as well as non-pass holders. Because people look for golf balls. And this issue of tick spray and Lyme disease is one that we hear constantly on the news. And that is a separate issue, and that's perhaps even more important than the quality of our fairways.
Does Eversource do it on their,
For ticks?
on the, yeah?
On the
Yeah.
rights of way, they do.
Right, right.
Yeah, they
That's
do,
what I
because
was
I live
thinking.
next to a rights of way.
So you're gonna have a meeting
Sorry.
with Chris Canella, and we're gonna walk, and do you think we might hear a decision on that? I mean, before the summer is out?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in real time, it's tough for me to,
No, he's not gonna say yes or no on the spot, I don't think, but
right, that's
he would
right.
be getting back to us?
But we want him to get eyes on what's happening,
Okay,
and not just hear it, but see it. And he knows, he's a turf expert.
Yeah.
He knows.
well, he has a background in
Knows
golf.
a lot better than I do.
Yes, yes.
I know.
All right, that'll be a great first step.
Um,
Because again, I think we've all agreed that it's just deteriorated over the course of the last 7 years. And we really have to,
If
At
it
least-
weren't for the work of James and Chris, it would be,
it might be
It'd
worse,
be
of
lost.
course.
It would be lost.
right, like,
It would be worse.
May I say
Okay.
though, that the courses have greened up so nicely. So
We did get a little warm weather, which
Yeah.
helps warm soil temperatures
Yeah.
with organic fertilizer.
Okay. Any other comments for James?
That was well put, Keith.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Staffing, any views on staffing, any?
A little bit better. We've picked up a few people
Oh, good.
at both courses. Only one young person, but both courses I think actually are adequate. Somewhat, I'll say, I wish it was better, but
for what we're used to.
we're functional. Yeah, better than last year.
When did the high school get, when did they get out? Are they out yet?
June 18th.
Very soon.
So,
None of them have applied.
oh, yeah.
The end of this week.
Yeah, front, green side on 10
At which course?
here.
Yep.
Was that a patch to get rid of clover?
Front green side on 10.
There
You know, on the
was,
left
That was the
there,
one
James,
you
where
were taking
put
down the-
Sod in.
That sod, that collar got wiped out by some insects last
Okay.
year. We were having trouble getting grass reestablished, so we actually took the spoils from the new tee at 17 on Hyannis and
Brought it here.
patched in that collar. Yes.
I thought it was your first attempt to get clover out of a collar.
No, that wasn't clover. That was insect damage. Yep.
By the way, the grass is coming great on the right side of 5.
Yes.
And Old Barnstable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was happy to open that up.
That looks
for
very
fun.
good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments for James? All right, seeing none. Director of Golf Report, Jessica.
Apologize, I got a coughing thing going on. All right, we are officially in tournament season. Old Barnstable hosted the first two member events of the year. The men's was on May 31st, had 92 players. Congrats to Steve and John Galanis, a father and son team, and Robert McCarter and James Rahilly for winning the gross and net respectively.
Cool.
The ladies' event had 60 players. The gross was won by Pat Grimo and Joyce Vecchione, and the net by Sue Murphy and Jen Golding. I want to throw a shout out to Pat Grimo, who shot a 73, blowing away her previous personal best of 78, and she did it with no birdies, which I think makes it even more impressive. 16 pars.
Wow.
The men's club championship,
I'm not that is unbelievable.
I
That
told
is
her I
so
hate her
good.
so much.
the
That
men's
is
club
so
championship
good.
at Old Barnstable is ongoing. 38 players attempted to qualify for 16 match play spots this past weekend. 8 players remain. That will finish up this coming weekend. The next major on the horizon is a ladies club championship at Hyannis. That's the weekend of June 21st, 22nd. Jackie Duffy is defending that. And also upcoming is a one-day member guest here at Old Barnstable on Wednesday, the 25th. Switching to a long ago submitted CIP, next week I'll be meeting with some DPW staff along with Mary Holloway and Chris Canella to get the cart barn project going here. We're talking a new roof and overhead doors. That project came in at 115,000, which happily is less than we had originally. I think it was originally planned at like 160, something like that. So it was awarded to C&K Roofing out of Hudson. I don't know much about them, but it's nice to get this moving. It's been over 2 years since that project was approved. We're pleading with them to wait till the season slows down in late October to get the actual work started, but we'll see what happens. Hyannis Clubhouse update. I gave you I brought physical copies of yesterday's report because I got a new one literally a little after 4 o'clock, right before I was about to shut my computer down. I got an email with the latest. So the latest construction schedule now has an estimated completion date of October 29th.
You moved 3 weeks from when you sent it the
Right,
other day.
right. From 1 week. Chris Ganella gave me a little update. I'm going to read it now, so bear with me. We have experienced recent delays with the project due to change orders and negotiating both credits and additional expenses from scheduled and unscheduled work. We're also being delayed as we will need to install a new properly sized natural gas line. The current main line is 3/4 inch and the new main line is 2 inches. This work is permitted through the state, and since the work involves road work, the work can't commence until after Labor Day. Our natural gas supplier is submitting the permit for the state. This is an additional process. Currently, we're planning to transition out of the temporary pro shop space by mid-November. This will allow us to shut down Old Barnstable for a much needed rest. Old Barnstable has taken on additional play, having to be kept open the last 2 off seasons, as we all know, and the course is showing the effect of this stress despite maintenance best efforts. The insurance settlement is still ongoing. We're hopeful to have a resolution in the very near future. Finance Director Mark Milne is on the next town council agenda seeking to reduce the amount of funds allocated for the project because we anticipate a settlement and our portion of the cost of the project will be more accurate. Best guess is the project's around $3 million and we're hoping insurance pays about half of it. So we'll be on the hook for.
And you have reason to believe they're going to finally,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah. So we think we're gonna be financing $1.5 million, something like that. I'll get into revenue unless anyone wants to stop me there.
I do.
Sure.
I don't want to make light of this, but a couple of people apparently, and I just would like to know whether or not this is a rumor, that the construction people walked off the job because of disagreements over something or other. Is that true?
I wouldn't say disagreements. There were some change orders that weren't approved in time. The work caught up to the change orders, and they were gone for about a week and a half. Because
So there was no one working for a week and a half?
for probably 7 days. Because the change orders were not approved. They couldn't move forward. They couldn't.
Not approved by the company?
By the firm we hired.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Right. And then the GC said, there's nothing for us to do here until those are approved. So we lost
So
probably.
why wouldn't they approve them?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Slipped through the
I
cracks?
mean, it's not like they're gonna be asked to pay for things, they won't be paid for things that the work they're gonna do.
Right. I don't know. I know there was one little hiccup with the electrician wanted to do something on time and material versus just the bid. And they were going back and forth on that. I don't think that had anything to do with the brief stoppage. But I can't get into the weeds about why the purchase orders were approved in time. Maybe they thought they had more time and didn't realize the work was catching up to.
The change orders.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So the construction company did not approve the change orders.
Not the GC,
The GC
the
wanted
engineering
to-
firm.
The engineering
We
firm
hired.
did not,
They had to say, yes, this makes sense, we'll approve this on behalf of the town of Barnstable. And they didn't, and from what I understand, they didn't do it in time. Now, did the GC give them enough time? I don't know. I can't speak to that. But we did,
It's a bug. It was a
Oh.
bug. Sorry.
we did lose a little over a week.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesse, you mentioned the gas line,
Yeah.
but the water permit's not approved yet either? Is it gonna be after Labor Day as expected?
From what I understand, the water is hooked up. they've already done that, but they need to turn it on for
We have
whatever.
to cut the street to
Right,
connect this.
right.
There's like a 3-foot section, it's not.
But yeah, so that'll be late September, hopefully. But apparently, when there's road work involved, it's Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah,
nothing-
we've been
nothing
saying that
happens.
for 3 months.
Right.
The other thing that's in here, and this is probably not going to be well received by the rest of the board, if this pushes, we need to close this golf course anyway.
It would be, that is my nightmare, the thought of keeping this open another winter.
Yeah, I think no matter whether Hyannis is ready or not,
Too.
this needs to be agreed that that OB closes January and February no matter what.
I can't say definitively that
No, but that idea needs to be
I know what you
discussed
mean.
and put
I-
up, because this golf course won't make it another winter.
It
these
needs to be
springs have been
discussed.
tough.
Yeah,
Let's discuss it,
Right,
if need be.
right. That'll be,
I mean, the revenue hit to not have players in January and February is not going to kill.
no, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the long-term health of this place.
Yeah, over a few members displaced for
Right,
8 weeks.
Over 30 grand in greens fees or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah. No, I agree. That's, when I saw that October 29th, that was my first thought. I can't have Old Barney open another winter, you know? But hopefully, we'll stiff arm that conversation for now and hope we don't have to have it.
Questions on the clubhouse then?
We're good?
May was a fantastic month, revenue-wise.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we beat projections by over $50,000. That means we currently sit around $250,000 over forecast for the year. I ran some numbers yesterday, and if we match last year's June numbers for these last 20 days, we will make a contribution to surplus in the amount of around $80,000. That's after paying back the borrowing. Obviously, we're hoping to beat that number, get closer to 6 figures, but it's great to know that even if we have some rainy weekends coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're
What do you mean if?
It's already scheduled to rain Saturday and Sunday.
We're going to finish FY25 in the black.
Busiest weekend of the year.
Good.
I will note, so that $80,000, this is the last year that small of a margin is gonna suffice, because we're gonna have a 6-figure payment due on the loan for the pro shop, for the clubhouse project. So we really need to take a hard look at not just our fees, but the overall model moving forward. I know we talked about getting the rate discussion started earlier this year, so I'm just putting on the radar right away that if we're gonna be able to absorb this yearly debt, along with making even the most modest improvements to these facilities, something has to give. Whether it's the rates, the model, a little bit of both, that's a conversation for August, September, and October. Lastly, this past Thursday, our FY26 budget was approved unanimously by town council. A few innocuous questions were asked, but overall it passed without any real substantial discussion. Now that I know our budget request has been approved, I need to dive into my range ball dispensing machine research. So I'll be spending some time the upcoming month visiting other facilities, speaking with staff, trying to narrow down exactly what kind of system we want to go with. There will definitely be growing pains once we get those up and running, but I think it'll be very worth it at the end of the day to have those. And that's all I have on paper.
Okay,
Questions on his report, Suzanne?
I just have a,
Jesse, I have one item. Restaurant rent
Yes.
is 11,000 expected, and I thought it said 0 obtained.
So what that was is basically they pay a portion of the electric bill, and the electric bills this year were just so high, everything went, that I put their rent towards those bills rather than accepting it as revenue. So they did pay,
All right.
but it's not showing up as revenue because I used it to offset the electric bills.
So that's just a decision you made. It doesn't
Yes.
really,
I decided to
which
take
one
it
is
as a
better for us?
One reduces expenses, the other
Right.
increases revenue.
Okay.
It's the same thing. I decided to take it as a reimbursement towards those bills rather than put it in the revenue side of things. if that makes sense. Just, that way I didn't have to cut other areas of the budget. I don't wanna have to say to him, I'm cutting your insert thing here, because our electric bills are through the roof. So I use their rent to offset those unexpectedly high bills.
As long as we got the
So,
rent.
yes, we
I
got
mean,
the
you
money,
know,
I used it as a reimbursement rather than revenue.
That's an issue that
Yes.
goes back several
Yes,
years.
yes, yes.
Okay. Sure.
All right.
Does anyone have any questions for Jesse? All right, Suzanne, you want to,
Yeah,
Talk about
I'd
something.
like to make a statement, just share some information. I've heard a rumor from someone that the town is considering disbanding this committee. So I followed up on that. I'm not sure how many of you know that former chair of the town council, Felicia Penn, established what are called ad hoc town committees. And I tend to, really follow what's going on with town government. And one of the committees is called the Committee on Committees. It's a shorthand way of naming it. And so I watched their most recent meeting. And they talk about the different standing committees of the town council. And there was commentary about the golf committee that I feel very strongly misrepresented this group, what we do, what we contribute to this program. There were two things that really got to me watching this video. One was why the need for this committee exists. And one of the counselors said, are there events where these members could actually, get together and talk with, Jesse, for example, and, talk about the golf course? And the answer given by the person in attendance representing the golf program was, oh yeah, there are member events. And the counselor's, this town councilor's response, this person I respect a lot, by the way, said, well, then we don't need this committee. All right, as though as members, people actually walk up to, Jesse or Mary or Tom and talk about the finances or how's it going with the clubhouse over at Hyannis, et cetera. So that kind of got to me. But something else really bothered me, and that was a comment about what we talk about. And this was a hint of a conflict of interest on the part of the members of this committee. Someone said that Mr. Els asks when the proposal on rates, annual rates, is presented to him, he always asks if the golf committee has been consulted. And yes, he always does, I know that firsthand. And the comment was this, that, well, all the members of this committee are golfers, they're members, so like you're asking them, do you want to increase your fees? So there's that sort of intimation that there was some kind of conflict of interest, which said to me that this person doesn't really understand what we do, because I distinctly recall at least 2 or 3 members of this committee arguing for rate increases because we know the finances of this program intimately as members of the public. Sometimes people in town hall seem to forget major parts of the equation when talking about the golf program in Barnstable. First of all, it's incredibly important to so many of us, residents of this town, who seek the experience of sport, fresh air, friendship, and social interaction. And this is for people who are young and old. Secondly, what it brings to our Cape Cod tourist-based economy here in Barnstable. Jesse just mentioned to me last week, I had 60 guys down here for 3 days. They all stayed in Barnstable, Hyannis, mostly hotels. They patronized Barnstable restaurants for 3 straight days. They had round after round after round. These are all people from out of town. They bring money into this town. And this golf program is an essential part of keeping this an attractive destination for people throughout New England, okay? I think of this committee, this is the way I think of it. It affords the public, we represent the public, fiduciary and strategic insight into the management of these multi-million-dollar town assets at a level that doesn't happen at a member tournament, okay? And I just want to make really clear, I will add, I did call the chair of this committee, who is Precinct 5 Representative John Crow. He's a wonderful guy. He's also a guy I have a lot of respect for. And I let him know how I felt about what I saw on this video of this committee meeting. And I suggested to him in no uncertain terms that should this committee want to discuss the future of the golf committee, that they invite the chair of the golf committee to a meeting so that he can explain to them what we do. Invite the chair, invite the vice chair, invite one or both, but invite someone who actually knows about the public service we do as volunteers and members of this community. That's all I want to say. John promised me that they've got a couple of really big ones coming up, like they're going to talk about CFAC. There's no way they're going to ditch CFAC. I mean, they really make sure that budget is well understood. We make sure that the golf program is well understood. I want to say, I think these two guys do an amazing job with this program, okay? There's no hint in my mind that anything less.
Can I ask you a question?
But I just let me finish, Bill. But I just think it's something, I had mentioned this committee of committees before, a few meetings ago, and I wanted us to keep an eye on it. And when I heard that rumor that they're thinking of axing this committee, I just had to look into it, and I have to speak up. And that's all I have to say, Bill, but go ahead.
No, I just wanted to know, what's the mission of the committee on committees? That sounds like the committee
So
that
this-
doesn't need to exist.
This isn't, Felicia set up these ad hoc committees to try to create better functionality in town government and more public input in what's happening in town. You all know about the work I've been doing on ocean wind farms. And this, ocean wind farms, there was the whole, controversy over there in Hyannis about, what they're doing where that little golf course is. There have been many controversies in town lately, especially about, building, zoning, and so forth. And I think that Felicia Penn very rightly wanted to get more public input in what's going on. So this committee is charged with looking at all of the standing committees of town government. We are a standing committee, we get appointed, we get reappointed, it's official, we get trained on open meeting law, the whole thing. But that's why this committee exists, and it's basically comprised of councilors. It doesn't have a lot of, I don't think it has any members of the public on it, but I did see them talk with other committees, and they brought the chairs of those committees in. So I want them to bring Keith in. And there was no sense of the fact that Keith reports to the town council annually, faithfully, every year about our work, about what's going on with the golf program from our perspective. There was another comment made that if we have an idea, we should just roll up our sleeves and get it done and stop telling the golf staff to get, have a divot day. And that was completely misunderstanding what we talked about. When we talked about having a volunteer day, we have to coordinate with James and with Jesse, because they closed the course down to do a divot day, okay? So Keith, you were talking about volunteers, and they just acted like we were telling them to do stuff for us. That's certainly not the case. That's not the tone of these meetings. And to tell you the truth, we all have a lot going on in our lives. We volunteer our times because we care about what's important in this town, and I really see these two courses as being very important in this town. So I'll just shut up there, and I don't know if anyone else has any.
Two questions about
Yep.
that. What is the tax on the councilors to keep the committee?
I'm sorry, what's that?
What's the tax to keep the committee?
Well, this is an excellent point, because to get rid of the committee doesn't create any benefit for the town. Is that your question?
Yeah, I mean, we're not an expense. Paying three
Yeah,
people
exactly.
overtime is the expense, and it happens 10 times a year.
Yeah.
Right? The second item is, I don't want to invite Keith. I want them to sit here.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Bring John Corlin.
You want to see what happens? Come sit down.
Well,
Ask questions.
I think they would come to one meeting and see one meeting.
I would bring them to the August meeting. You want to see what we really do?
Yeah.
Come to the August meeting.
Yeah, that might be valuable, but I really think to legitimize our input into their eventual report. And they're not ready to make a report
Right.
yet. That's what John told me tonight. And I told him, I said, we'll be on television at 5:30 if you want to see what we do.
Right.
But I also have to note, and I'm not disparaging anyone, but we're supposed to have a liaison to town council, and that's not functioning, quite frankly. So, you know, there are things we can talk about, like should we try to meet during regular hours? James starts his day at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so this is a very, very long day for him. This one, well, I'm just kidding.
Starts at 5 p.m.
We had a liaison, we had a liaison.
We have a-
We
we-
met with Matt
No,
Levesque.
we have.
We have a
we-
liaison
we have.
who, and there's not a good, you know, it's not involvement. But I will tell you that when we have our discussions, when we learn about what's going on with the very fact that you brought up, we can't keep Old Barnstable open for another winter, right? That's something that only people who know this program, know these courses, know Jesse, know James, can talk to, can speak to. And so I just want to emphasize that maybe I got my dander up a little bit, but I think sometimes you have to. All right? That's it.
Okay,
Committee on committees, that's good.
Committee young, it sounds sort of Soviet, doesn't it?
Oh,
So thank you for hearing me out, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
thank you.
good.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? And a second?
Second.
Motion to
All in
adjourn.
favor?
Aye.
Show of hands, it's unanimous. 6:21, golf committee is adjourned.